There have been so many leaks and rumours surrounding Assassin's Creed Origins over the last couple of months, but we may have just had a confirmation of some of them, as a ton of new information has come about. Of course, we are fully expecting to see this game at Ubisoft's conference at E3, which of course is on Monday, but until then, let's get on with the leak. In this Red Gaming Tech video, we are here to discuss the details, which are courtesy of the Reddit user HungryGhost57, who managed to get their hands on an early copy of the latest issue of Game Informer, which not only had a cover for Assassin's Creed Origins, but also had a pretty in-depth section on the game. It confirmed various things like the ancient Egyptian setting and the return of boats. Now, saying Egyptian is like, okay, cool, but, you know, when? And apparently it's going to take place during the reign of Cleopatra, and undoubtedly going to be visiting, should I say, words are hard, many famous Egyptian cities and locations. Now, apparently there have been various gameplay tweaks. Now, needless to say, before I continue, if you want to keep yourself fresh for the reveal, I suggest you stop watching. But apparently there's not going to be any minimap like we've seen in the past. There's going to be a, quote, Elder Scrolls style compass, and there's not going to be any sprint button. And apparently it's going to be based upon how far you push the analog stick, rather than it being based upon a free run trigger. This probably means that there's going to be less focus on you being suspicious while sprinting, because otherwise that would be kind of obnoxious. And apparently everything within the world of Origins can be scaled as well. And it seems they have indeed been tweaking the combat. For the longest time, combat has been the weak point by far of the Assassin's Creed series, and it seems they've been taking some cues from Dark Souls. There is a adrenaline meter, and their attack buttons are mapped to the right shoulder and right trigger. And there's also going to be special moves if you combine both buttons together. And apparently there's not going to be any more of the ridiculous nonsense of you being surrounded by 20 guards and each of them calmly and patiently waiting their turn to be brutally countered and murdered. Apparently that has been very much gotten rid of, which is great because that was ridiculous. And apparently the Hidden Blade is no longer a one-hit kill on stronger enemies, so that's definitely something, because you are definitely a bit overpowered as an assassin. Of course, you're very skilled and all that sort of stuff, but putting a bit more emphasis on, hey, this enemy's a bit dangerous, you're going to have to think a bit more clever about it, rather than just, hey, I can just drop from, 5 stories above him and, hidden blade him in the face. That definitely adds a bit more nuance to it. There's also going to be day and night cycles for the NPCs. And apparently they're going to go back to a little bit of what they kind of did in Assassin's Creed 1, but a bit more fleshed out from what I can see here. Tracking missions now actually have some thought put into them. You have to actually, keep in mind your target's schedule as they move around town, and obviously plan as to when to best approach them, which is actually great. That sounds awesome. They kind of had this in Assassin's Creed 1, but not really. This sounds something like they had in mind, but obviously it's not really been in the game since then. Also, a really nice change, and again, this could also be incorrect, but, given how close this is, and given the source, I'm willing to believe this is all true, but of course I'm just saying, do take it with a pinch of salt. You also cannot just spam Eagle Vision as much for finding your mark, as it will only highlight objects. And apparently the main character, who goes by the name of Bayek, by the way, has a pet eagle which you can use to scout. Now, it's probably going to be the replacement for the towers, given that, of course, there's a lot less, towers in ancient Egypt. What's pretty awesome, actually, is that there's going to be both horses and camels are in the game, and apparently you can fight from horseback and, of course, camelback as well. There's even going to be some horseback archery made available, which is pretty damn awesome, as well as, of course, normal sword combat. And it also seems, in terms of the extra collectibles or the side quests or whatever you want to say, they've also put a little bit of thought into how they're going to do that, and also actually making a bit more use of the theme outside of course, the story and the world and that sort of thing, as you're going to be actually able to raid Egyptian tombs and ruins and actually get treasure and all that sort of stuff from cool underwater chambers, and get a bit of Lara Croft Tomb Raider on, basically, is essentially what you're going to be facing there, I assume. It does seem, however, that the system of upgrading your gear and getting better gear is still going to be in the game, hardly surprising there. You can also, as I just said, get new weapons and pillage sunken ships and all that sort of stuff. And with the return of boats, sunken ships, of course, makes sense. We did see that in Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, where you could get stuff from sunken ruins. Although I will say that took way too long to be unlocked in Assassin's Creed 4, so hopefully that is definitely in the game sooner. And also, unsurprisingly, there's going to be a leveling system that seems to be basically mandatory for this sort of game nowadays, and there's going to be 3 separate upgrade trees that seem pretty standard, to be honest. Warrior, Seer, Hunter. You can kind of get what sort of abilities are going to be under each tree just from their names alone. And as we've seen previously, while Bayek is very much the main character and is featured in the game's marketing material, there is another player character for you to have. So it's kind of similar situation that we have with Syndicate. You know, the brother Jacob was the main focus of the marketing, but you could of course play as Evie for pretty much the whole game, apart from a few sections where they inexplicably took control away from you and made you play as the most boring man alive, bar Desmond himself. To be honest, all of this sounds really, really promising. I have to say, I like the sound of all of this. I like the sound of actually having to explore a little bit and having a sort of vague direction to go in to find your goal, like Elder Scrolls, and having to actually, you know, watch your target. Okay, they go to the market, and then they go to this place, and then they go home, but they haven't got it here, they're not so guarded here. You know, that sort of thing, like an actual assassin would have to do, adds a bit more fun to the gameplay rather than just, hey, they're going to be in this busy market square full of guards, have fun figuring out how to not get spotted. And also the improvements to the combat and the versatility being offered with the horseback and camelback combat sounds pretty good as well. And I just really hope that this is the breath of fresh air that the series needs. I think that they've brought boats back as well. Definitely means they've been listening to people. You know, I think they've heard that the boats were basically the best part of Assassin's Creed 4, not the boats themselves, but the boat sections, obviously. So, with any luck, Origins is going to be a return to form for the series, and I look forward to seeing, hopefully, some gameplay at E3. E3 has definitely been better as of late at showing actual gameplay rather than shiny pre-rendered trailers that are not representative at all of the final product, but of course, only time will tell. Of course, at the moment we are waiting for EA's conference, but this is definitely going to put more hype around Ubisoft's conference, I think. I'm going to include the Reddit thread, which you can find all of the information that I've discussed here there for your perusal. There is even scans of all of this, and this is pretty much the reason why I think this is pretty much legit. Well, I say all of this. There's scans and a bunch of other stuff for you to take a look at, and I suggest you do so. Or you can hold your horses and just wait. It is, of course, going to be only a couple of days, but regardless, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.